Commissioner Palomero,
Here.
Commissioner Baker McCormick,
Here.
Commissioner Dobb,
Here.
Commissioner Baydoun has requested an excuse. Commissioner Anderson. Chair Hattis,
Present.
you have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item.
B, Chair's remarks.
Well, I just have no remark except it's one item agenda today because of the importance of that item. Also, we have with us the CEO of Sega Semga, Mr. Greg Petuniak, to answer any question if there are any. So next item.
C, approval of the July 26, 2022 meeting minutes.
Approval.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Mr. Petuniak, would you like to address the you or lose? I mean, both of you, welcome. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Vote on the minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. We could take a voice call on this. All those who agree signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carry. I jump ahead a little bit. I have no unfinished business except the new business. We go to item 1 direct, which we have Luz gonna speak on it.
Good morning. I hope you all are doing well today. I'm really excited to bring forward this proposal for our workforce development program, proposing a $50 million investment in workforce development initiatives across the county to fill gaps in existing programming and provide support based on extensive conversations and strategy sessions that we've engaged in with some of our partners in the space. The proposal proposes a subsidized training and employment program, an underrepresented worker grant program, a return to work program, and a career navigator program.
Motion been made and supported. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This, if I could, to our folks that are here to discuss this, my questions have nothing to do with the organization as far as the quality of the organization, but this is something that we had received prior to today's meeting as far as the ARPA dollars being used. But my understanding was we were, as a commission, we're going to have a general discussion on all the applications that would be coming from the administration for our consideration. And we haven't had that yet. But then I see this on the agenda. And so please explain to me how we got to this point.
Yeah, if I may, I think, so there are kind of two streams of ARPA funded projects and programs. I think the one you're referring to is the solicitations from our municipalities for community-based projects. Those are ongoing. We hope to bring those forth soon. We're in contracting with a lot of those communities. These are essentially county-run programs, county-created programs. So these are coming out of our Office in Economic Development, along with the small business program. So these are, programs that we've talked to you all about previously. And so it's kind of a different stream in that one is coming from the outside in, requesting funding. These are programs that we've built internally to fund.
Okay, so decision was made internally within the administration to fund these, is what you're saying?
Correct.
So when you say it's a different stream of money, it's still ARPA dollars,
Yes,
federal. It came from one source, correct?
Yeah, the sourcing is a little bit different, is the only point. But you should see ARPA projects from your communities coming.
And how soon will that happen? Could you tell us?
We're trying to get contracts back from the municipalities. We know, certain councils and commissions are on recess across the county. So, getting approval from city councils and boards for contracts, we have about 12 contracts out right now that we're waiting to come back. And as soon as we get those, we'll be submitting those to you all.
It's troubling to me that we haven't seen anything. That we haven't seen anything as far as proposals that were sent in to the county and nothing that is on a pre-approved list or any decision making during the stages of approval. And I guess is this something that is sustainable, what we're doing with this approval of this today? Is it sustainable? Is the county going to have $50 million to put into this program every year?
This is over the next 3 to 4 years that this amount of funding is stretching through. We're working closely with SEMCA, with our with other partners in the philanthropy space, and looking out for grant opportunities with the federal and state government to make sure that we can continue to fund the initiatives, as far as, we can evaluate which ones are most needed and successful in the long run and continue to provide funding. It probably won't be the same amount, but we are seeking other opportunities to continue to fund this program.
I am concerned, and I know our management and budget person that was here the other day said one-time money coming in, that we shouldn't use that to expand programs that we can't sustain down the road after this money is gone, because I don't think we're going to see more federal dollars flowing in like we've seen the last 2 years. So that's my concern about this and as far as the approval process too. So I'm, like I said, with that expressed, I'm not just, I'd like to even see if the chair has any comments. I see.
Yes, there are two different things. Municipality taken longer process because some of the communities require to have matching fund, whatever 10%, 5%, 20%. Some of them have to put some money in that, take back and forth for the community to agree with the county on certain amount, how much can they contribute to the project. This one is for SEGA SEMCA, so that it's education and training to enhance the ability of the workforce to be qualified for certain job. The job market is changing rapidly with the new technology. So it's one contribution, $50 million. And I don't think we worry about if we're going to have more money or not, because SEGA SEMCA stand on their own with the state and the federal for certain funding for education and training. And I will let Mr. Potaniak speak on that a little bit. So we're not going to worry about if we're going to get more money or not.
And as I mentioned, I'm only concerned, is it something that's sustainable? The effort, is it sustainable if we're not going to be getting that money to assist them in the future? If what's going to happen with the personnel, are we hiring additional personnel or is SEMCA doing that? But I guess that would be SEMCA's issue.
Mr. Potaniak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner. Good to see you. And, your perspective is valid in terms of the sustainability question. I would look at it, however, as the extraordinary opportunity it is to have an impact, even if it is for 3 years. But yes, in my own environment, as we would staff up to implement these programs, we have to be even honest with the people we hire about the availability of the funding and the possibility down the road. Now, having said that, we have developed as an organization relationships with philanthropic organizations and a strong relationship with the state workforce agency and working closely with the county. We are hopeful it can be sustained past the 3 years.
And I do appreciate what you've done and what Simca has done, certainly. This will be my overriding issue on a lot of the expenditures. Are they sustainable? Are we treating them as a one-shot source of money? And whether or not it's better to do some capital projects that will benefit the public. But I'll listen, see if there's any more discussion on it.
Commissioner, can I add one more point that is particularly fortuitous about this situation? As the targeted industries listed in the grant are moving forward and they are relatively new industries, mobility and electrification and so on. They need talent now or for the system to evolve to address their talent needs. And this infusion of funds is really timely for that occurring in our local economy. So.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Any, Commissioner Commissioner Varga and Dobb.
Thank you. Hopefully, Greg, we would be able to get some of these programs going towards or designing towards maybe filling some of our vacancies even in the workforce development for Wayne County. So I see our dollars coming back in training for our employees as well as others in the area. So I'm fully in support of this. The other issue is that those dollars that Commissioner Anderson was talking about, they're going to be coming to us in waves because we have multi-years to spend it. It's going to be in different waves that it's going to be coming to us. And I think it's a good thing that we don't spend it all at one time. So I'm looking forward to the big presentation that we're going to have. But I think you're doing a really good job in ushering this in and creating programs that we need now and funding part of it. So I appreciate that. Keep up the good job, Greg. Mr. Petoniak.
Thank you, Commissioner Varga. You all set?
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Dobb?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could you give us some, a little bit more detailed information about how the program will actually work regarding the training programs? Will this just be will the recipients or the participants get money to go to like a local community college, or how are they actually going to be receiving the training?
Yeah, so first of all, by the way, we do have funds currently that can support individuals to go to programs like community college. This will supplement their ability to do that by helping subsidize costs associated with that. In addition, we will be supporting training that is occurring on the job with employers. So we'll help subsidize the wage and help pay for those training expenses. You know, our goal is to get them into employment, not simply, a sort of an academic exercise. It's providing some unique funding opportunities to help those individuals that are challenged by sort of the normal circumstance of getting training. You know, if somebody's in working 2 part-time jobs, how can they go get the skill or credential they're looking for, right? Particularly if they have children, right? They have daycare issues and so on. So these funds will very much supplement the ability of people who are currently sort of disadvantaged in the workforce.
So there's not a particular like list of classes or courses that you can take. Is this more of like, let's say I was applying to the program and my job had a course that I could enroll in. I could apply for that, but I needed some transportation assistance in order to participate in it. That's what I could apply for through this program?
Well, yes. And our support is in the context of them pursuing employment and career opportunities in the 7 identified 7 identified industry clusters, right? And so, yeah, if they identify training, we can actually fund them also to go to achieve a credential in that industry. irrespective of their employment. So they can even be working part-time and pursue part-time that credential, or they could even pursue that credential full-time for a period of time with our support.
Okay, wonderful. One more question. If someone is enrolled in this program and they receive, money for like vehicle repair, but they do not complete their training, is there any obligation for the recipient to pay back that money that they received for the vehicle repair?
So I would say to you, the final details are yet to be worked out, but let me be clear. We have those kind of programs already, so we'll pretty much follow those guidelines. Typically, we don't penalize folks who encounter obstacles in the context of their training. It's not intended to result in a financial burden for them.
Okay.
But we do have certain safeguards that we put in
Okay,
place, yes.
so I'm thinking more of like, how do we prevent someone from taking advantage of this where they enroll just to get the, vehicle repair money and they don't even start the training, or they go like one day and then they.
Yeah,
quit.
I did want to point out, and thank you for the question. We think it's a really important question. So we've been discussing things like signed statements in terms of, what their obligation is to whatever program they're in. Some of these programs, so there's a subsidized training program, which is focused on training. We also have, a more wraparound service program, which is a career navigator program that supports folks at different phases of whether they're seeking training, employment, et cetera. And the return to work program is really not so much focused on the training itself, but making sure that folks who are seeking employment opportunities have an ability to make it to that job. And so this could be more related to someone who is seeking a job opportunity or already has one and needs support with transportation.
Okay. All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I think our Commission Council have want to address.
Yes, through the chair to this honorable body, it appears that there may be an outstanding issue with this contract with regards to some missing forms. I can't really contact and really discuss it with staff right now to figure out if it was resolved or not, but it doesn't appear that it was resolved. So I will get with staff after this meeting and then the department. And if there are any missing forms, then hopefully we can get that resolved prior to Fort Board, because that shouldn't be a difficult task to accomplish.
The motion would be in order to say with the completion of the required document. Okay, Commissioner Anderson.
One follow-up question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could we receive some additional information about what is going to be provided in addition to what we have here before us right now, as far as additional services and things like that, so we'd have a better understanding of what the money is going to be used for? I'm sure there was something in the submission of the plan, right? And so if you could share more details of that, not right now, but between now and the full board meeting.
I believe the scope of work is in the packet. There are other items that will be completed. Obviously, that SEMCA couldn't go out and do without having a contract in place. So there are items that are coming, and we're happy to come back and report back on that.
Okay, or even if you would provide it in writing before the full board meeting, then I'll be able to vote for it. Thank you.
Again, here to this honorable body, and I apologize because the staff that reviewed this contract are not currently in the room. So if I'm wrong, hopefully the department will jump in and correct me. But I believe this is the contract where we had a discussion with the department with regards to subcontractors. Normally what happens is that when you approve a contract, the subcontractors are known up front. So you know who they will be subcontracting with and how much money they will be paid and what services that subcontractor will provide. In this instance, this is one of the contracts where that is unknown, where we don't know how many subcontractors there will be, We don't know how much money that each will receive and exactly the services they will receive, which is very different from our usual process. So we had a discussion with the department, and it's our understanding that they cannot and will not know that at this time, but they will come back and report that information to the commission and to this committee at a later date, once they determine who the subcontractors are, how much each will get, and what services they will provide.
Yeah, because this one, it's a normal process. They can't commit to contract before the money be approved by the full commission. Then they could go and commit to the contract. Because if they commit to some contract and then the commission didn't approve the money, then they are liable for those things. That's why you can't put the wagon before the horse. So I think it's normal practice to get the money and then start issue contract. So, but we'll follow up on those questions. Commissioner McCormick?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Have you looked at the communities and the services that each municipality is providing? Because some of this programming that we're doing, or this contract wants to do, is already being done in other municipalities.
Commissioner, that's a great question. We are aware of other programs, specifically in the city of Detroit, that run a similar range. We are working closely with our partners in our different municipalities to evaluate what are essentially the gaps in some places, so that we have some programs that they might not have in place and vice versa. And so really maintaining those streams of communication so that we make sure we're not overstepping, or, if there's, and this is the why, we know that services exist in the city of Detroit at a different rate than they exist in Out County for any other program that we can think of. And so really working with those municipalities to make sure that we have coverage outside of the county in places where this service might not exist in Out County, and still, working with our partners in those municipalities to make sure that if they need access to some of our programs, we can work on that. And if we need to make referrals to them, really keeping an open stream and, honest conversation about how we collaborate on that. It's been very important, and it's a conversation that continues.
So have we reached out directly to all of the 43 communities to see if this is a need, or if we're overlapping? Because I just believe that some of these services are already being done.
Yeah, the way that we developed this strategy was we had a stakeholder group that met over the course of several months late last year, and identified some of the highest needs in workforce development, the gaps that we're experiencing, especially in Out County. And we strategized around some key points that we needed to cover. And so, this feedback really comes from employers, some of our top employers in the county who are struggling to maintain workers, and then some of our training agencies. So we haven't communicated with each individual municipality. We know SEMCA has deep knowledge of essentially the needs across the county, but the program was very much informed by the feedback of the beneficiaries in terms of employers, and then the folks who are providing training. I don't know if you have other feedback.
Yeah, so SEMCA, in our designated role as part of the state workforce system, works substantially with our local communities in terms of understanding what they do and don't have. Frankly, in Wayne County, very few of them have workforce development programming. And when they do, they typically include us in it as partners. For example, Wayne Westland Schools received a congressional earmark for a grant from Congresswoman Tlaib. And in that context of implementing the program, we're doing it jointly with them.
And the partners, and I think that our staff attorney just discussed that in other contracts, we have a list of the subcontractors. That's very helpful for us as commissioners to determine how the money is going to be spent and with whom. And the track record of that subcontractor is very important. your, as the prime contractor, your track record and your experience is important as well. So I don't know if I think the packet said about 22 possible subcontractors, and we don't know any of them. I don't know if you know any offhand. That's just concerning to me that we don't know any of the partners, and we're looking at spending $50 million and not knowing how it's going to be divided.
So Commissioner, upon approval of the contract, shortly thereafter, SEMCO will be issuing an RFP, and we will be reaching out to many of the known human services organizations that deliver these kind of services. And then jointly, the county and SEMCO will be reviewing and scoring those proposals and making final decisions on the subrecipients.
Okay, and so maybe the council can answer this question. When in other contracts, when they don't have the funds up front, is it a request for information that they ask for in order to see the possible contractors? I'm just trying to figure out why this one is different from any other contract.
So through the chair, it's simply a matter of how the department set up this particular contract. So in most instances, the county will go out for RFP. They will know all of that information prior to. In this instance, the county is essentially handing this whole program over to SEMCO, and they're saying, you RFP it for us, you determine the subcontractors, and you do all the work. And so it's just really a matter of how it's set up. Now, we'll say that under the ordinance, the procurement ordinance, that information is actually required to be submitted to the commission with the submission of the contract. So that's why we always have it. If we don't have it, we send it back to the department and get it before it comes to this body. But in this instance, due to the large amount of money, due to the staffing that will be needed, the department has indicated that they set the program up like this because, well, I'll let them speak to why. But this is how they set it up. And because it's set up in this manner, we simply don't have that information, and they won't have that information until after approval of this contract, because it would be difficult for the primary sub, SEMCO, to go out and start RFPing an item that they don't actually have money for to actually, or an agreement to do a program for. So it's just the technical matter of how it's set up. So as staff, we did ask for the reporting, and we could ask for the reporting to be submitted prior to, since it's was indicated that the RFP will be issued and the county and SEMCO will evaluate once they make that determination. But before they issue the awards, we could then ask for that list prior to them actually issuing the awards to the subs. And that way this body will know at that point who those are and have an opportunity to potentially weigh in prior to the sub contracts being awarded. That is potentially one option of how we could get that information to this body.
And then do we know how many possible participants?
Ultimately, the proposals from individual contractors will identify the number of individuals they think they can serve with the dollar amount that they're proposing, and we have benchmarks for that. But it's roughly around 10 or 11,000 individuals we think will benefit from this program.
That wasn't indicated anywhere, and that was a big question for me. And then, so the commission, after we approve this contract, we won't have any oversight. Is that correct? There's no reporting requirement of what's happening, and this is just over a 2-year period, right?
Johnson would answer that.
Okay.
So there is nothing in the contract between SEMCO and the county that will address reporting. We could add some language to the resolution that indicates that the department will come back and not only immediately report the subcontractors when they're known, but also some type of status reports. If you all tell us how often, we can make sure that that is included in the resolution with regards to this body's approval.
Thank you.
Question from any commissioner? Motion been made and supported. All those who agree signify by saying aye. We need roll call on that, right? Okay. Madam the Clerk, roll call, please.
Chair, what is the motion again? Does it include what
The
council
motion
mentioned?
include the staff to receive the information they require from the administration before the next full board meeting.
Are we going to require the commission to be notified of the subcontractors at some point? And I'm trying to remember the other thing that you mentioned.
So that a contingent upon the additional information
Oversight.
prior to full board, and then the approval will also include a report for the subcontracting after that RFP is evaluated, and then standard reports every 6 months, quarterly, will also be included in that approval and in the resolution.
To include that?
That's what I said.
Okay.
That.
Okay,
So it does include that,
yes.
correct? Okay, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomero.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker McCormick,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Chair Hattis.
Yes. Thank you. Well, I want to congratulate both the administration and Mr. Patoniak from SEMCA on a joint effort, because I take this education and training very seriously, because I see the effect on our economy. Many years ago, company used to move outside the country to overseas for cheaper labor. But now the danger, a lot of company moving out because of the human resources and the qualification to do the job. And we step to the plate to educate and train our people to fill up those jobs, because wherever you go, you see help wanted. And that is a serious problem if we don't address that and work on it. And I think I should thank the administration and SEMCA by joining together to tackle with that issue. Thank you again. Okay, next item, Madam the Clerk.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I have none. Next item.
Public comments.
Anybody from the public like to comment on the economic development agenda? We receive any email
No
or
emails.
phone? Okay. For the second time, anybody from the public like to comment? Again, third time. If not, next item.
Adjournment.
Motion been made and supported. All those who agree signify by saying aye.